All right, all right. Hopefully, we are good to go here this Friday afternoon, live inside our trading room. Great to see all of us just joining us back, like Chuck and Warren and Michael and Roger, and all of us just here, just joining us otherwise. Hopefully, you folks can hear me. I believe I am good to go this time. Great to see all of us back on social media, Facebook Live or YouTube, folks, to put a bow on this week. And first, allow me just the chance to say, of course, Happy Veterans Day. For anyone that had signed the dotted line to protect our beautiful country, I really appreciate your service and everything that you've done to defend our country. That goes for anyone in any of our military branches, armed forces. I have a couple of really close friends I'm actually going to be seeing for the first time in a little over a year. Not because of the Army, but they had proudly served for us here. They're not listening to me right now, but a couple of my buddies, Steve and Vinny. So, happy Veterans Day to them, or you, or anyone that has served our country, or may even look to in the near future, of course. So great to see Nadine, Jean, Andre, Patrick still with us here. Hey, it's a nice market day, at least on top. So we've had the market really begin to push up once again, SPY nearing 400. I was not expecting as good of a push as we've had, at least up until right now. I would have expected some sell-off, some consolidation and some sell-off. We haven't really had much of that yet, at least the sell-off part. So we'll see what takes us going into the close here. But with that in mind, I mean, there's going to be a lot on the gainer side, a lot that's moving up right now. So AMC, I had the stock just on the screen before we started the meeting. It's one that obviously we've taken advantage of at times with the Wall Street bets and meme stock runs and whatnot. So, hey, it's up over 16% today. It's breaking back above 7 right now and pushing up pretty well. So I'll definitely put this on our watch list to start. AMC. Just keep your eyes peeled for a couple of iceberg orders. There actually seems to be one right now, right off the high at 715. It's approaching. Then after that, you have one at 725 for about 36,000 shares on the ask. If anything, also, before we move forward, I'm just looking at the daily chart for AMC. Looks like it's approaching a little resistance. Nothing too critical, but looks like the highs from back in late October, early November. It's teasing and testing right now. So it could definitely be something to watch over the next series of weeks or perhaps even months ahead. But if we happen to get continuation within the market trending back up here, then hey, look for a stock like AMC to build some support over time, some higher lows, and perhaps that could get flipped into support over time. But for right now, we'll put AMC on our watch list. There's a bunch more that's up. Let's go just right from top to bottom. Let's see what else we could add there. We had the comp trade that did really nicely for us earlier. I didn't really focus on this as much going into the afternoon. So, yeah, with good reason. All right, so Comp ended up running up really nicely from the market open. Compass Inc. ended up making a big squeeze up from like 218 to 20. Let me just get my... There we go. I knew something was up there. All right. So this ended up making as good of a run up, like we had said. Kind of took us by surprise, though, after the market opened up. Not a whole lot of activity early, but took off, and we caught this one pretty quickly. Fausto was the first to call this out at first. Ended up running up beautifully over $4. This is easy to say, but it's easy to say because of how frequent we see it. For as much as something like this runs up, that it's going to top off, have a pullback, have a false breakout at least first, right? So we know that normally 10:30 Eastern time is that famed reversal time. For as much as this pumped up, there's 10:30. Tried cracking above resistance at 4. If it's not going to break any higher, there's only one other way the stock is going to go, right? That's trying to put that line there at 4, but you could see at least it broke back under it. It fell super flat since. So, it kind of reminds me like the Mac trade that we had a couple days ago. It was that pharma company. It was up like God knows how much percent. And look at what it did afterwards. I mean, I could probably show this better on the 5-minute, just seeing what it did the last few days, but it fell extremely flat from the run up that it had. Well, oftentimes that's what happens. If not otherwise, it tanks. So you don't want to get stuck on the wrong side of that run for the comp. We'll pass on to here for the afternoon. We'll maybe check back in with it next week. Probably seemed to be said on the snail, SNAL, right? New IPO. I didn't realize that there was such a lack of historical data at first. I was more focused on the 1-minute chart when I was doing my prep, and then I flipped to the daily. I'm like, oh, that's all you see. So it was an IPO from yesterday that opened up, and it pushed up early in pre-market, a little after the open, but this is exactly what I was afraid of. I didn't really focus on this as much after the initial pop, and thankfully, even though I missed this bounce, didn't really miss too much. So ended up completely crashing. We're going to move on from this trade right now. All right, we got to be pretty delicate here because obviously the market's up and there could just be other stocks that are showing great strength regardless of the market running up today. So, not all of those are going to have good volume like this SGHT trading 668,000 shares or something. There's better fish out there right now into the end of the week. This we're not really going to focus on as much here, but look at the daily. What the heck happened here? Oh my goodness. I don't think we even called the stock out over the last few days. So my first time seeing this ticker, probably like crap volume, 65 or 69,000 shares, barely cracking 100,000 shares a day up until today, at least. I don't know, maybe next week. I don't know what this company does. So we're going to pass on it. Just a wacky looking daily, though, that's for sure. All right, what else we got here? GOEV, Canoe, right? This is the company Canoe. Wow, nice move back up. I didn't really realize this was looking as good until right now. I know Rich was tagging in for me earlier, making posts in my replacement, so I know he had called it out, but I really didn't turn over to this trade personally until, well, live. This stock has been coming off of news the last week or two, even with like different EV delivery reports that came out, and I was thinking it was going to make this type of run, but it didn't until right now. So, hey, better now than never. Hopefully, this can keep pushing the GOEV. So, it's been coming off of good news the last like week or so. I was looking for a run up on this, so hopefully not too late. Hopefully this isn't the top here. All right, we'll keep it going. And again, we're going to find a lot more, folks. That is up percentage-wise. I am in one trade. I didn't go over it yet. I went over it inside the live trading room before I started, though. So for Gene and Patrick and Nadine, just look up in the chat. You'll know what I'm talking about coming up. But we got a lot that's pushing up. So there's plenty of other fish out there to try and focus on. I'm looking at my other screen here for the position I'm in. So it's looking pretty darn good for right now. IQ at the highs. Chinese stock, IQ, famously known as the Chinese Netflix when they first came off their IPO. Doesn't look like they did too great over time. But, short squeeze potential. Let's just check out some other side list stocks that are like Chinese equities, stocks that could move in a similar direction. Obviously, NEO had a nice pump earlier today. I'm not in NEO. Surprisingly, NEO is not the stock I'm in. But it is pushing up pretty nicely. So I'm sure that I'll be inclined to follow a stock like NEO in just a moment. Lee isn't looking as sharp. XPEV is. So you know what? I'll slip on our main list NEO and the XPEV trade. These are two Chinese EV companies that move really similar together. So, just shooting from the hip, looking at the IQ stock, which is, just a named Chinese company, I looked at NEO and XPEV. Those look like they have more life to them. So I'll focus on those more. All right, let's jump to the stock because that is still pushing up well, and it's Carvana off 11. I wanted this off of 1083, and I missed my mark earlier. It crashed, and then it broke back over my big volume level I was writing to you folks at 1083. So I ended up jumping in at 11. I ended up taking a small loss, 3-cent loss, and then I jumped back in once it broke back over. So, with that, it's been pushing up really well since I wrote in the chat board. Carvana, nice under and over right from 11, ended up pushing up really well from that point. So long from 1101. Let's see this try and run back up towards that 1150 high. I'll definitely put Carvana on our list, just given this nice trend, from where I got in from. If I were to get stopped out, I would let you know that too. But of course, if this wasn't looking as good, I wouldn't be as jumpy to put it on our list for you folks, right? There are times where I'm in a trade and it's not doing anything. I'm just being transparent, but I'm not going to put it on the list if it's not doing anything. This certainly is. So we'll focus on Carvana. Let's just jump through a little bit, folks. I'm not in Shopify, and I regret not jumping in as a swing as I was looking to do from the beginning of this week. But, elections, and then we had the CPI report. So I didn't want to gamble. Ended up really making a strong run up day over day without me. Shopify is a day trade, though, taking us into the close. It's up over 12% on the way up higher to 41. So hard to not put this on our list here, folks. Shopify. There could be a lot that looks like that, though, right? I mean, Roblox has been pushing up really well. In fact, we just had a huge transaction get filled a moment ago, specifically at 36.69. right here. How could I tell? Well, look at the matrix. You could actually tell just with that alone, looking at the volume bar histogram, big spike, big old spike of volume. That took place just after 2:30. So 2:34 Eastern. Oh, well, would you look at that? Right there, 200,000 share print. Bingo. At 36.69. That in particular is a key level for Roblox. I mean, either way, we're going to throw it on our list. Really pushing upward pretty nicely. What else we got, folks? Let me know. I mean, we're going to jump over to the loser side in just a bit, but if there is anything else that looks strong going up, type it in the chat board early. Definitely let me know. One that I will look at before I hop over to the loser side, Redfin. It's just a stock that I've seen, I think even from yesterday, it was like squeezing up a tiny amount, but it's at the highs right now. It's just really tradable. It's one also for a long time that's gotten destroyed. So this thing was probably like $100 stock in the beginning of this year. Bingo, $100 stock in the beginning of this year. Actually, that was last year. Pardon me. So from 2021 onward, it topped off right at 100 and then really fell off after. I mean, hell, even when the SPY topped off in the end of last year into the beginning of 22, this was already trending down quite steadily. So this thing has taken a huge hit, and it's at the highs right now. This has short squeeze potential all over it. So Redfin, I'll put on our watch list as well. All right, cool. So again, folks, let me know if there's anything else that looks good that's moving up, but I'm going to hop over to the loser side right now. I mean, obviously, SPY is nearing 400 live right now. I don't know why the left chart is a 1 minute. Let's move that back to the 5, but let's hop over to the loser side here. Wouldn't expect for there to be a whole lot on the loser side, maybe outside of the inverse ETFs. Yeah, this is doing garbage. Not a whole lot happening there. BRLT, just not really trading a lot of volume, to be honest. Apron's not a dead cat bounce, really. And then, lo and behold, folks, I mean, we're not below 5% yet, but I mean, really, unless if there is something that is off the lows, counter trading against the market right now. I mean, maybe dropping off on news of its own or on its own accord. Type it in the chat board. I mean, let me know. I'll be interested. Like EDU, stock we're familiar with, down over 10%. This also is a Chinese-based company. So, hey, maybe they had their own news come out, led to a big drop-off here. It looks like it could have been a good short in hindsight. I don't have a great need to put this on, though. I mean, it's not trading a lot of volume on the order book, at least. So, Ron with Alcoa, AA, that's one of his favorite stocks. So you had a big drop on this stock, right? Really nice retracement. If you do well on this stock, Ron certainly does, so he knows that he'll likely put this on his personal list. Just to cater to the majority of us otherwise, I would say focus on the other trades at least, because just looking at such a sharp drop, that could be a little intimidating or uncomfortable for a newer trader to follow. But listen, this thing is volatile. It's trading a lot of volume. So Ron, great call for yourself and for others that in particular do well on this trade. It's a good stock for you to personally put on your watch list. All right, but otherwise, let's see if there's something, not to say cheaper, but I mean, something more liquid, something perhaps a little cheaper, but something that is maybe a little lower risk, perhaps. And that type of drop was nasty. So, it's a good one for any of our level 3 traders and above, as far as like looking to follow as a side list stock. Or again, if you did really well on this trade day over day recently, you know who you are, right? All right, so what else we got here, folks? Let me know if there's anything else up, down, left, right, more than 5%. Carvana is just smooth on the way up to the high there. Not trying to get greedy, folks, but it's a nice trend. So we'll see if we can build higher lows off the 1140 as it pushes up to the high. We don't need to build too big of a list. We got 8 stocks already. I like it. That's actually like perfect. Might have a couple more just want to look at briefly. So just while I'm on Benzinga Pro, ASTS. I actually forgot about this before we started the meeting. So ASTS, I also wrote this in the chat board too, just simply saying like, hey, this thing's moving up pretty nicely. I didn't run into it until it started to make that strong pop. So the thing on this stock is that it had some slight historical resistance right around 890, 889. So it seems to be pulling up there slowly but steadily now. I'll put this on our list. I mean, this looks pretty sharp. Looks like it's moving up pretty well. The GOEV is already on our list. So that one we caught. And then last one that I have, a familiar name, a stock that a lot of us have done well on over the last few months, Blue. And I haven't looked at this as serious of late, at least, because as a day trade, it wasn't really trading a lot of volume of recent. Back from the end of the summer, we were really focused on the stock. But wow, look at the daily. As far as a swing trade, this thing has been building up really well. It seems to be right at historical resistance that we had from the middle to end of August into September and so forth. It's not going to be one particular price, folks, but if I can look at one thing here, I could say like 750, 754, the close back from October 6th. It topped off there just earlier this week, 754. It's there pretty much right now. So Blue, our last stock for right now that we'll put on our main list. Patrick calling out SOXS. That's an inverse ETF. So with the market up, that is down. That's at the lows. It's a potential short. Don't get me wrong, Patrick, but SOXS, I should probably talk slower. SOXS is a little bit more expensive and it's an ETF. It's an ETF. So unless if you have Bookmap, I would not suggest for you to be trading an ETF when you have a much easier time looking at level 3 for just regular equities or stocks. All right, give me a quick sec here. Deb, who may have lost sound, log out, log back in. I know that I had an issue yesterday, but I know I'm good to go right now. So that is probably just a quick little glitch on their end. But otherwise, folks, I believe that we are finishing up right now for all of us in social media, Facebook Live, YouTube. Enjoy the weekend and happy Veterans Day again for anyone that has proudly served our beautiful country here and then anywhere else, of course, right? But otherwise, enjoy the weekend. If you're interested in joining our live trading room, just go right down to the link on the yellow banner below the stream to get yourself started. Any questions prior to joining, always feel free to shoot me a quick email beforehand, josh@ctutrading.com. I always like to post my email here at the end of these streams. But otherwise, folks, for all of us inside the live trading room, I may not be trading with you going into the market close, depending on where I land on Carvana. If I just get out at 1150, I'm going to call it a day. If that ends up blasting over 1150, then we'll take it level by level. But otherwise, if I don't chat with you folks going into the end of this day, enjoy this weekend. You'll have Rich on the mic from 3 to 4. And best of luck trading, folks.
Become a Cyber Group member today. Just click the link below and receive all these amazing products and a world of knowledge for just $9. Do it today.